Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Coaching Week Spotlight. I am so excited to have this client spotlight today with Dr. Ingrid Wilson Johnson. Some of you know her by both names, so we'll call her whole name and her glorious self. She's an amazing OBGYN who has moved on to certified health coaching. She is doing many wonderful things in the community. We will be talking about that in just a moment. She is co-owner of Positive Images for Better Tomorrows. She's creating space in her community, taking control of community need to help them get their lives on track, their health on track, so that they have support. Don't we all want that? So I want to welcome her here today. I'm Dr. Tony. I'm your certified executive coach who helps you make that career and life transition so you can have the ideal life for you right now. Welcome, Dr. Ingrid.
Good evening.
I'm so excited to welcome you to Coaching Week. I'm glad you agreed to come on stage for us and share your story of making a transition. And for those of you who are doing the Coaching Week curriculum, day 3 is all about facing your fear. Now, I didn't plan this. Dr. Ingrid picked her day, and she happened to be on a day that I think resonates with her. So let's say hello and see what brings you here. What do you want to tell them about life before coaching?
Actually, you think about on a wheel where you're just going through the motions. As you think about a career choice, I've always wanted to be a physician. I planned my life that way and actually thought that that was the end point. So unlike most people, I was at a point in my life, I'm 30 years into private practice and then starting to look at what does life look like after this? Is this where I really want to be? What do I need to do in order to make that change? Fearful. If you've done something for 30 years, it's hard to think that you're going to do something different. So in that case, I had to have somebody help me get out of where I was in order to get where I needed to be. So here comes coaching.
I'm so excited that you made that connection. A lot of times we are in a quandary. We're like, okay, I know this isn't what I can do. I don't want to do this for the next 30 years. I know that I'm not done serving. I know that I still have a passion for women. When I met you, my heart it was just singing because you had a passion for helping women and they love working with you. And everybody wanted you to be their doctor, ma'am. Everybody wanted her to be their colleague. And you also had a passion for resident education. You were so passionate about making sure that they were going to be good doctors, that they were going to love their journey of getting educated and serving in the next generation of physicians. So, and surgeons, right? They're surgeons. Right. So you loved all of that. But what made you say you might want to start thinking about a change?
I think it came to a point where I didn't feel like I was being supported and one that I was working way too hard after 30 years. When you're 40, you can do all those things. But as you get older, there's not a lot of time that you can run here, run there, run your home, run your marriage, run all those things and still be comfortable. At that point, I needed to have some time. I needed to gather back time and not be running so much. So that was the turning point for me. It's like, I don't have enough support to do this at the job. I must do it at home. So something has to give. So the decision to make a change.
If you're watching on replay and you can relate, you need to say something to us because, you know, you can watch here passively, but what you also want to do is I have so many people in our community who are just like you. I'm going to have like 3 surgeons on here this week who are talking about, you know, and I'm a licensed physician and surgeon to this day because I was world trained and I loved OB. But I realized the lifestyle for me wasn't sustainable. And I had my own ideas about career ownership, business ownership, excuse me. And so I shaped my career. I did all the fun in residency of delivering babies and having fun and C-sections and all. But then when I came out, I said, all right, I was like you. I was like you. I was later in my life. And I said, I really want to focus on some different values. So talk to us about that process of discovering that maybe things have shifted for you. You came and asked for help. Kudos to you. But you needed help getting clear on what is next. What was fuzzy for you?
What was fuzzy was I didn't see myself anywhere else. Unlike some people who have these dreams, and some things that I was telling the residents is you need to have your lateral move. I mean, it's all right to go forward and have a direction, but there's some other things that you want to do. Don't put those on the back burner while you're moving forward. Always try to develop your lateral. And I needed to know how to get to my lateral, how to get to doing my other passions, other things that I like to do that didn't involve the day-to-day OBGYN work. I was active in the community, but trying to do all of those things at once can be a strain. So I needed to try to prioritize what I wanted, and I need to be able to see that. When you're moving forward, a lot of times you can't see it because you're moving too fast in one direction, and you can't really embrace where you want to be, what you want to do.
Every single person I've ever received a consult from said one thing in unison. I was so busy in my day life, in my day job, in my family responsibilities and community work, there wasn't enough time to process and get a clear picture, a clear vision of what life on the other side of this looked like, because this was fulfilling. This was joyful. You're not going to hear from a lot of my clients that they didn't love what they were doing.
Oh, sure.
You love what you were doing, but you were now in a different stage of life, and you were not really able to get a sharp, clear focus because you were so taxed. That work was so all encompassing. Would that be true? Like all consuming? It was just taking up everything.
Oh, yeah. Every time, all your mind, everything was involved in that decision for someone else, but not the decision for me.
Let's talk about taking care of everybody else. And women, raise your hands if everybody calls you. Go on, name all the places that love to call you because you're just so amazing. Come on, you can name them for me.
My community, the school, my family, people at the hospital, and just people I know in my church, my sorority.
You can go all day. I can come up with 10 people who you're number one on their emergency call. And women, if you're used to being the emergency number one call person, please type that in the chat when you watch this, in this comment box. You have to own it and claim it and start to see the patterns. What I'll say is that I became a martyr mindset specialist. We women think, but it's for a good cause. So I'll give and serve and show up and join all the committees. Honey, you're the elder in the church. You're on the women's so-and-so. Tell me am I telling the truth? And then you put in sororities. 90% of women I might deal with have been on board. They're on boards, in committees, and they're in a sorority or all three.
Yes.
And you are the person to go to. And they love what do they say to you to get you to do all the things they love you to do? What do they say to you?
We know you can do it, and you know how to do it well.
They flatter you. They tell you, oh, but your potato salad's the best potato. It's the best I ever had. We put you down on the list because, honey, you come in and your name's already on the list. I had a client tell me that. Oh, your name's already on here because we knew that was what we wanted from you. You're busy. You have your own life. When you start doing so much for other people, what does it feel like when it stops working for you? What's it feel like?
It feels like a drain when you realize what you were doing. When you're doing it, you don't really realize what's actually going on. You're just going. But when you sit back and say, oh, I was doing this, and when you really assess what's going on, then you can see what you were doing, and then it allows you to visualize where you want to be and what else you want to do.
You're being ambitious in saying that most of us who are in that struggle actually know what's next. We just know that this ain't it. We just know this isn't sustainable. That's what I hear from them. They're like, this, I can't keep doing this for everyone. And I'm starting to feel, give me some emotions. You're starting to feel what?
Overwhelmed, unsatisfied.
Yes.
Not tired, but just mentally drained. Yeah.
Even decision fatigue. How many of us make all the decisions, what to eat for dinner, where we're going to go on vacation? It just goes on and on. It's decision fatigue. It catches up, and you have enough of that from work. Yeah. Now you come to me and ask for help. What made you make that leap? I'm gonna be honest with you. Your situation is a little different than most people. Most people are not sure, but I think you had an example that made you feel a little more comfortable.
Right. So I followed you for a while with Dr. Lauren, who I knew from here at home. So I kind of was involved in that process with her. So that way I could see what was going on. That gave me a different insight on what was actually going on.
Yeah, to give a little bit of background, you're big on mentorship, and I had heard all these wonderful things about Dr. Lauren's mentor, and she was just gushing. She's like, oh my goodness, oh, Dr. Wilson Johnson, she's amazing. She was telling me all about you. And then I ended up meeting you myself a few years later, and I was gushing to us, oh, what a wonderful woman. So you're also a mentor outside. This was a medical student that you said, come on over here, I can show you the way. So we didn't even talk about that. You've got these passions to uplift other people, and it can start to be draining. It can start to not leave a lot of room for yourself and the things that you value. So one of the things that we should talk about a little bit is the comfort zone. This is discomfort, but you when you started talking to me, you also started thinking, well, maybe I'll just stay. Maybe I'll just stay since they love me so much and I work, I'm doing the work. I like what I do. I like what I do. The people like me. I'm very good at it. They're going to, they can keep giving me new things, new promotions and titles. Talk to me about comfort zones and how it can be a trap.
Because you can do things that you're very comfortable with. It's not stressful because it's what you do. You're good at it. You continue to do it. But one thing about being comfortable is you can't normally reach your potential or reach your new place or plateau if you stay comfortable. Sometimes it requires you to do things differently, to learn something different, to be exposed, and to, nobody wants to be at the bottom of the rung that you have to climb the ladder again. But if you go down and learn more skills, that'll just move you to a different level. So you have to be willing to be uncomfortably in a different place or at the lowest point, because then it allows you a chance to grow and build to a different place that's nowhere near where you were, but it's definitely where you want to be. So that's why it's important to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Y'all don't even understand. Having her on this screen right now would not have been possible back when we met. She was not interested in being on anybody's show, talking about anybody's anything, but she had a passion for the people. So she's here serving y'all with a smile on her face because she really wants to be here. Because when you're in that old place you used to be, a lot of women tell me they get angry and resentful when they really start to feel it stack up on top of them. And the responsibilities actually don't dissipate until you start making changes or start making decisions.
Yeah.
You were indecisive. And what did they do to throw? Look, I'm gonna put it out there. When they know you're going to try to leave, what do they do? What do they do when they know that you're going to do something different?
They try to make it seem like you want to be there and that they're going to be supportive of you. But again, everybody will go back to their old way if you don't make the choice that's good for you. No matter what they say, you got to make sure you're making the choice for you, because they'll try to convince you, but 1 month down the road, you'll be back at the same place you were. So it's important for you to make the decision that's right for you, no matter what they say.
You and I, some of the work that we do together is redefine, what that new life should look like, feel like, and the mission to serve. What's that look like? It's not easy to put it in words sometimes, because we, one of my guests yesterday said, "Oh, well, I was defining myself by being the surgeon. So leaving the surgical suite just didn't feel like something I should do. Why would I give that up?" But one day you wake up and the outside validation doesn't make up for all of the burdens. And I remember you saying you had a vision for your future where you were able to take vacations and make your own schedule and flexibility. I remember that day. Do you remember that day?
Yeah, I remember that. And this year has been so amazing because I didn't have to call anyone to give me a day off. I could go on vacation and didn't have to have anybody cover my patients. So although you miss the patients, I enjoyed not having to have someone else give me permission to take my vacation. It's like, no.
At 30 years. This is a 30-year veteran. She's trained more people and taken care of more people than you'll ever see. And she's asking permission? I don't think so. You should get seniority to tell them when you might be around. Just saying.
Yeah. Make the choice. I had to make the choice. I'm not going to let you control my vacation time.
Look at Tashina.
Not again.
Tashina, look what she said. That smile says it all, honey. I want y'all to know something about my wonderful, beautiful Dr. Ingrid. She loves to work and help and serve. She's not afraid of hard work. She enjoys. I will tell you though, that smile wasn't as quick. And it wasn't retirement that put the smile on her face. It was being able to have that autonomy and flexibility and control. She'll work. That's not the issue. How many of us, let's come on now. We got some people on this call right now. How many of you guys would want more flexibility, a lot more autonomy? You're an expert in your field. You should be able to decide if you want to flex or work from home or have some, have a 4-day work week. How many of us would love that? Oh, vacation time drama. Dr. Tara, she is another OBGYN. Welcome. Isn't it amazing how you can have all the seniority, but then when it's time for you to put in, they say, "Oh, everybody can't go to the conference." How many times has that happened in your career? Can you even count?
Yes.
No, not everybody can't go to the ABOG this year. What do you mean?
Well, yeah.
What? Give me an example. I mean, how many times what was the the straw that broke the camel's back that made you say, "I need to think about me more"?
Yeah. When I took the position to do more with the residents, and then what the previous director was able to do, they told me I couldn't do. It's like, oh, really? I don't think so. So that was like, no, I need to ask for what I want. And if you're not going to give it to me, I need to move on. But that fear of, I'm afraid to ask for what I want because I'm so used to just doing. No, you have to be able to, my peace was more important than my fear. I had to develop my peace so that I wasn't going to let fear deter me from getting that peaceful state in my life. I had to ask for it and demand it.
I had to put it on the screen. You and my guest tomorrow. When I did my last coaching week, protect your peace was your hashtag. And I remember one of your first Facebook posts was, "I am protecting my peace." Y'all are on notice. Family, friends, and community, just know that as much as I love you, it's going to start with me now.
Exactly.
I was on your page clapping. That's how many of us wants to protect our peace more and stop worrying about all the how am I going to get this done? How many of us need to put our peace and our values much higher on the list of things to do today. I need y'all to speak up. Having a fight with everybody to get these patients. We've committed to these patients and taken an oath, but here we are fighting to get care that we know is the standard. How? Final straw. Exactly. You get so tired. That's the straw that broke the camel's back for your colleague, Dr. Tara. She's like, why am I fighting for what we should all be fighting for?
Yeah.
The system is, I'm going to say this because you're a health coach. Look, that's the training in and of itself, not to let the fear take your peace away. I'm going to say this because I don't think we say it enough, but to be truthful, health care has system that's not about wellness at all.
Nope.
It's not a wellness model. And those of us, I mean, I have some people who work in health insurance on here right now. Who, on the other side, I've worked in that industry. I've worked in people who are healthcare workers are all on this call. Would you say this is a wellness model we've been working with, or an illness model?
Right.
Band-aids everywhere. Band-aids everywhere.
No cures. Yep. No prevention, no cures. Right.
Talk to me a little bit about another frustration that I know a lot of other people who, I'll just say high achievers, not even doctor or no doctor, but how many times have you been trying to give your personal best and they try to tell you, oh, you're taking too long. You're doing too much. We need you to see more people or do more. They want more productivity than they want results. Tell me about that.
Yeah. And that's a frustrating thing, depending on why you're a physician or why you're providing any service. People want to tell you how to do what you want to do best for the people you encounter, and it's on your conscience whether your patients are well taken care of. It's not on theirs. You have a model that you want to put forth, but they want to tell you how to do it. No, that's a frustration for you. But again, always the thing, you're not making enough money, you're not seeing enough patients. And it's like, well, the ones that I have want to be here. I got to take care of them. So it's that battle that you go through about your desires, what they want, and being an employer. So once you're working with someone and providing a service, that's why you have to, decide how you want to live your life and then make plans to make that happen. Because every way is not for everyone. And unfortunately for me, I had one direction and I did that direction. I did it well for 30 years. Do not wait that long. Sit back and take a look at where you are and where you want to be way before 30 years, please.
I'm just going to put it out there. Advice for our professionals on this call. Let's just recap a little bit. Before coaching, you were stressed, exhausted, not getting enough flexibility, autonomy, or you're being pressured not to provide the quality of care that you want to provide.
Right.
With excellence as always, right? And you took an oath and your license is on the line. What's your advice for those people who are in spaces where they're not able to thrive and they're trying to push you down or keep you from doing what you know is the right thing?
I think that you can't, again, don't be afraid to do what you know is best for you. Making those decisions, it's not up to other people to make that decision for you. But one, you have to have the courage to step out and make that decision. One, you got to surround yourself with people who can help you obtain the things that you want. The circle that you have around you, your community, is very important. Selection of who's in your circle, key. Make sure you only have people who are going to move you in the direction you want. Those people who don't, keep them outside of your circle. You have to.
You have to. What would you say? I mean, I know that there's a lot of things we're going to be doing here upcoming in our new community we're building. Those of you who are watching, you should get on our waitlist for soaralliance.com. Just so you know, we will be sending out early information to people. This community has been brewing for 5 years. I have all these one-on-one relationships with clients. They're in a different phase and they're like, dang, I have questions. Wow, I could use some support. And you mentioned it. When you were in coaching, accountability was built in. You knew you were going to meet with me on a certain day. You had to kind of keep up with your own,
Mm-hmm.
your own plan. What was the benefit of having that community around you saying, come on, we got it, let's go?
Mm-hmm. I think that was it was utmost importance, and it made a difference to know that, one, I had made the choice to put the time in, and then when I put the time in, there was somebody there in that time slot that I had set aside for myself, who was, one, moving me, listening to me, pushing me, and actually being there. So that was very important, and the choice of who that is, who your coach is important as well. But definitely, everybody needs a coach. I mean, and you said that to me many times, and I definitely tell people now, everybody needs a coach, and probably 3 or 4 coaches, because you need one for all the different things that you have going on. So it's
Right.
important to have that person there for you, and take that time. You got to carve that time out that you're going to be there.
Here's my actual quote. Every coach must have several, right? Every coach must have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing I see in the industry. It's unregulated, every coach. That's fine that they're calling themselves XYZ, but the reason I'm here is because of years of corporate experience, years
Mm-hmm.
of transitioning people for free, as friends and all that, then transitioning myself to multiple industries successfully, and being a business owner more than once successfully. That's a whole notion, and it's a lot of skills. And so if you surround yourself with people who specialize in the area that you're trying to now join, it's a lot easier, because we're not going to let you drop any balls or not make good on the promises that you put out there. Once it comes out your mouth, writing it down, sharing it with somebody, and then being accountable to your own is a different level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, yeah, everything has its own pressure. Absolutely. It depends. You better say that right. But truth is, creating your own custom plan,
Mm-hmm.
your own custom pathway is important. Each person gets the opportunity to create their own.
Mm-hmm.
You said it today. You said, it's not exactly a comfort zone, but I like the idea that I'm pacing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I decided what I wanted, and I can put it on my own little calendar and start working towards the goal a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
But
you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep putting that action in. If you stop, it's okay to be slow, but it's another thing to be stopped. You can't stop. You got to keep moving.
And the number one thing that stops us is fear and overthinking.
Yeah.
List some of the fears. Think about some of even the mentoring you've done. What are some of the fears that you hear coming out of young women's mouths? All the things they're afraid of that keep them from taking a step forward.
One, they feel like they don't have what it takes. They don't want to be alone. When you're moving your career, you're often leaving aside some of the other things that you want to do. So they're like not wanting to do that. I want to have children if they're female, but when am I going to do that if I'm doing all this? I don't want to make that choice to miss that window.
Yes.
Money is not always a factor, but people are always thinking about what kind of lifestyle they want to have and how much money it takes to do that. So that kind of creates some fears for some people, that I'm not going to have enough.
Those are the main ones.
Yeah.
Most people are, and the one that we didn't mention was failure. Many of my clients are so used to being a 30-year expert, a 10-year expert. That comfort zone is expertise. And I want to touch on that today, because I don't think we've really talked about it in any of our interviews, but you're an expert and you know your way around everything related to that day job. But when it's time for you to step into that new unknown place with new skills and having to learn everything from that ground floor you mentioned, now you're at the bottom again. You don't know anything. You're always stressed and scrambling. That is something that people don't always want. They're like, I want to be the expert. I felt much more like where I should be in my stage of my life, but they're losing sleep at night. They're not making any decision, which is keeping them in turmoil.
Yeah.
And then
And
what
they,
happens to your quality of life, your health, and your sleep? You became a health coach. What were you seeing in the day that made you realize that you need to dig in that area?
Mhm. Yeah, because again, we're not thinking about being well. We're not thinking about being at peace and actually healthy. We're just thinking about endpoints, and we're not thinking about what the whole picture looks like. And I think that that's important for people to realize that you're not one facet, you're multiple things, and how to mold that into the ultimate, optimal, and definitely peaceful state.
Somebody write that in the comments for me. Everybody who wants to reach their ultimate potential. We were all born with the ultimate potential, weren't we all? We were all born blessed with our gifts and our brain and abilities. We each have them. How many of you want to reach that ultimate potential? Because fear shouldn't drive you. Your
Mhm.
ultimate potential should drive every decision you make. And eventually you say, okay, I'm not going to let you get in the way of what
Mhm.
was meant for me and my purpose, right? People will go and say they have faith all day long and go to church all day long, but I
Mm.
don't see that faith in action.
Action. Got to put it in action. Got to
Who's
put
going to put that faith in action? Woo, look at that. That is an entire conversation.
it.
Putting that faith in action. Now, I have a student on here who I know well. Of course, I know all the Tonys in the world, right? But student Dr. Tony is interested in OBGYN, and I know
Yep.
that she was, oh, yeah, she's a future OBGYN. She was thinking about private practice to get away from some of the concerns that we've seen in some other systems. But what would you say to her? She said, well, what about, she mentioned it to another doc, but since you're on, I figure I'd give you a chance to give her some pointers on the private practice.
Um, I think private practice is it's time consuming, and I think it's very important. Again, you got to have a good circle. You can't do it alone. I don't know any OB-GYN. Well, I do know some males who do it alone, but as a female, it's very hard to do it alone because you're going to have all the jobs, wife, mother, other things that you got to negotiate. So you got to be in a good system where you have a good circle, some other OB-GYNs who you're going to be working with who agree with the way you want to live your life. um, People always say they don't want OB-GYN because of the lifestyle, but it's a lifestyle that you have to create. Don't create the lifestyle. You don't want to be on call every day. Then you know you got to have some other people involved. So go in it knowing that it's great. I mean, I love it. I love what I do. I love the people, the patients, the babies. All of that is great. But you got to go in learning that this is the life I want, and this is how I'm going to create it. Don't let anybody create that for you. Make good choices. You got to be in the right place, the right colleagues. All of that is so, so important because you're not going to be alone. You can't do it alone because that's 365 days, 24/7. Nobody can do that. So
I'm going
go
to
with
tell
it
you
that way.
again, you need a community. Funny thing is, I actually attract a lot of surgeons. And it's probably because y'all live in a vacuum. Your job is so consuming and your training so consuming that when you finally come up for air, you're like, well, wait a minute, I have some questions. This isn't exactly what I was thinking of at this phase of my life. I thought
Mhm.
after I did the training, things would be better in this area. And if you have children, things change again. So a lot of my clients want to transition after they pick their head up from all of that blitz
Right.
of just getting trained. So the community, some of it is your colleagues. This is where that 2-question assessment comes in. I'll come back to it in a minute, but having that village of people like Dr. Ingrid around you, who has nothing to gain or lose. She'll just tell you how it is and some
Mhm.
pitfalls that you should avoid. That's different than your colleagues every day who you got to kind of keep your face straight and,
Mhm.
just play along with the game while you're trying to get trained. So Dr. Carla talked about that today. She's like, especially as a woman and especially as a woman of color, you better
Mhm.
have different people you can go to for those real questions about, well,
Yeah.
what am I going to do about this daycare? What am I going to do about these other things? So just know that it takes all of that and you have to plan it right. So my recommendation is the 2-question assessment. When we did, let's just backtrack a little bit. Today, one, we did a 2-question assessment, and that's, if you fill that out, student Dr. Tony, or anybody who's watching, if you spend the time to do this coaching kind of quick start, this kickstart I'm trying to get y'all to do, this helps us decide how to build something that you do want. Everything she just said, we can't help you until you're honest about what you want in your lifestyle, what you want as a mom, what you want as a wife. We got to hear about that from you so that then we can help you aim in the right direction. And you might decide that there's a season where that works for you, and then we can transition you after that 10 years or whatever's up.
But be working on the lateral so that you can move into the next phase when it's time.
Exactly. Exactly. And look, we have another veteran. How many years do you have in there, Dr. Tara? I mean, she's another veteran of the ObGyn, and she's traveled, she's worked internationally. You know, she is highly skilled. She's worked in a lot of male-dominated spaces, you know, where there's a lot of people in leadership, and here you are trying to work, and you're the expert, but yet, you know, 25 years, look at this, 25 years in the game. Okay. So you have to be, there's different seasons of your life. She and I know each other because I know she's transitioning to yet another season. But I love that you guys are starting to ask those clear-cut questions about what works for me, what do I want now, and how can I best use my knowledge. One of the things that comes up a lot is going back to school. Tell me how much going back and getting some additional training in this particular case has helped you. Like, now that we made that decision of what you really wanted to do for people, the mission, tell them a little bit about your mission now.
My mission is to take care of them, but also so that they learn how to, one, best maximize their health and their lives. Most of the stuff that we deal with as far as sickness and illness is preventable, but actually knowing that and how to go about, one, impacting your life so that you can make good choices. I think that that's what I want to help them see, that there's another way to do it. And one, you can do it. You just have to, one, get the information and then use it.
Now, people will come in and they'll say, your health coaching is expensive. My coaching is so expensive. What do you say about to people who think it's expensive to invest in this next phase? Because a lot of times people don't see clearly what it is that you're going to help them do. What would you say to them?
Anything that you really want to have, you're going to pay for it. I mean, I'm not a designer kind of person, but I know people who spend lots of money on things, but you're not going to be able to enjoy those things if you're not healthy and well. So make the choice. What's important to you, what you want to spend your money on. Those things that you spend your money on should, one, impact your life. You can't take any of those things with you, but I bet some people won't quander about spending $300 for a thing. But for knowledge that's going to make you be healthy and be able to, one, thrive at 75 years old as opposed to not being able to move, I think there's no equation on the cost, you know.
Yeah.
And if people don't invest with you, that's fine. But remember, you're going to be lacking and have to get it from somewhere. So you have to make the decision of what's important and how you're going to use your money.
What I'll say is that the millionaires and billionaires of the world, this is not coming from me or Dr. Ingrid. Let's just go high level. A lot of people would love to have more money, right? All of those folks know that investing in yourself is the best return you can get, because you got to get new skills or new knowledge or new information in order to up level your life. If you want a raise or a promotion, you know, you got to figure out how to maneuver or negotiate. Even if you're not going back to school, you still have to have some negotiation skills or knowledge to position yourself to be in a better, you know, you can switch jobs and still lose. So it's not even spending. Spending is stuff that comes and goes, but investment is something that compounds, it grows
over time.
And that knowledge I'm still board certified physician, and I don't even see patients because shoot, I made such an investment. I'm like, now how do I keep this thing going? Because it's something I've earned. It's something that is important to me. I really want to still know what's going on in this world in this not so well space. And people have a hard time thinking they're spending on health, arguing over copays, and they're about buying their whole look while they're holding their Louis Vuitton. Ooh, Dr. Tara's on fire today. I think feel people should be feeling like they're getting snatched up a little bit, but let's be clear.
Yeah.
That bag is full of medicine,
Mm-hmm.
insulin, all kinds of things that really the health coach here would be able to assist you with. If you want to follow Dr. Ingrid, I recommend you do. If you want to reach out to her, I recommend you do. She's very passionate. She's very caring, just like she was as a clinician. I am so proud. I helped Dr. Tara transition her plan. She's going to start her MPH on Monday.
Oh,
Yes, honey, she's going to help. Her mission continues to help women thrive and make sure that we work on these disparities that are out here,
okay. Yeah.
the policies that are out here that keep us separated from good care and have access. Some people have
Access to care. Yeah.
access
Access to care.
and some people can invest in themselves, and some people need our help, and we have the tools and knowledge. So Dr. Torres, she's coming back. She's a client. She's coming in, starting her new program. You coming in, Dr. Ingrid. She's going to help people from the other side. All my clients have a mission.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a mission, you will when you work with me. We don't, in our community, everybody, I ask them, what's your mission? Let's go. And they can rattle it off, because if you don't have one, we need to talk about that. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for joining us today. I'll ask you one more question, because I know people need to hear from someone other than me. If somebody's thinking, do I really need to, should I really consider coaching? What would you say to them? Because they might need to hear from you, not me.
Mm-hmm. I think if you want to have someone who can assist you in seeing you, we have these opinions of ourselves and who we are and where we are in life, but it is good to have somebody who can, one, see you and help you see you. I think that that's important. It's invaluable. Again, it's creating that circle that you have somebody who can give you some solid advice, and it's unbiased. It's for you. It's supporting you. And everybody needs to have one. And you can decide who that is and where it's going to come from. But I think it's a great choice. I think it's something that you need to make that choice for you.
Amen. I hope you hear her. She's got all this wealth of experience and knowledge. And if you want to follow her, make sure you see her on IG. She's at Dr. Ingrid Wilson. Is it Ingrid Wilson Johnson? I missed my note somewhere. And that's on IG. She gives tips. She gives encouragement. She's always a positive force out here. And you guys need to make sure you follow her there. And you also can follow her on LinkedIn. We have all the things you need in the show notes. We're actually going to go over to our other platform and say hello. And all of you who are following us, if you have questions, you could still leave them here. Let us know your hashtag replay in the comments, and we will check back for responses later on. Thank you for joining us. It's Coaching Week with Dr. Tony. Kickstart your career, your future, your transition to the next best ideal version of you. And look, I wrote a note. Your ultimate potential will be reached, according to Dr. Ingrid. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day.